bait or not to bait, that is the question. And I am on my way to the feed store right now to buy some bait for company property at Champion. I don't have any bait out for myself personally right now because I'm running all scrapes and travel areas for my bow hunting spots. But the company property that we lease for employees, for our bosses, and also for our customers, it is a place that we do some selective baiting, so I'm going to be picking up some corn, possibly some mix that I really like called Kitchen Sink, and I'll put out some blocks as well. Generally speaking though, you know, I've heard it both ways. I've heard some of my expert buddies say you'll never kill a mature deer over bait. I would argue that's not true because we've done it. And I've harvested multiple, bucks over bait before, but it is a lot of work. You put a lot of scent into the areas where you're walking in and out with the bait. I'm going to be doing it very quietly today. I've got a cart with me. That cart has been awesome because I can haul sometimes up to 300 pounds of corn on this cart. I do have a Ranger and I can drive it in there, but for the most part I'm trying to stay kind of quiet. The goal would be today to put this bait out where we already have been running bait for census in 2 locations that no one has hunted at all yet. And this is very close to where my boss Zach killed a beautiful 145, 150 inch buck in velvet 3 seasons ago now, I guess, or 2 seasons ago. And it was the same scenario. We were baiting it carefully, but no one was hunting it, and he was able to get it done on the first hunt. That's what we're hoping for this weekend as well. Gun season is in. I think Zach will be back in town and be able to hunt Sunday. We also have a 10-degree drop in temperature from Saturday to Sunday. There's a lot of reasons why this might work well, but I will say I'm not a fan of hunting the same corn pile just over and over again. It just turns into an absolute mess. The deer really figure you out, especially if you've got does in that area a lot. And the does will sit there forever. Sometimes they're in there by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just a headache, and that's why I'm not doing as much of it for myself this year. But I think it's going to work for this setup. So I'm just going to kind of let you tag along, and you'll see a little bit of how I'm doing this. One of the spots I set up specifically to bow hunt early season, but the wind was just never right for that spot. I think Zach's going to sit there Sunday night, and as far as I know, the wind should be perfect. So he might have a really close shot. He may end up bringing the bow, he may bring the gun. But either way, you're going to see that spot and another spot where I had a food plot planted last year, but now it's just kind of native, and I've been baiting in there, just keeping the deer coming until I can get it replanted. So anyway, just going to kind of see why I would use the bait in this scenario, and hopefully it ends up panning out. But I'm about to pull in here to the feed store and hook it up. Food plot. All right, spot 1 is done. We're on to spot 2. And this is the last place that I can use my outside voice because it's only 1 trip in, 1 trip out. Try not to have any foreign noises. Wear your rubber boots and change the batteries on your camera while you're in there. Minimal intrusion if you're gonna do this. And bring a bunch of bait. I made this bridge a couple years ago for a tractor and 4-wheeler. It's been awesome. Scrapes all up through there underneath all these beech trees, and I don't want to go anywhere near those. What you just saw me do is the most that I'm going to do, but you know, this is where we're hunting, this is where we're baiting, this is where we're sitting, probably up there in that lock on, and I only want to make 1 trip in there, and that's it. Just get in, dump the bait, get out. Get in, get out, leave as little intrusion as possible. Go ahead and change the batteries on your camera, even if they're at 60% or 70%, just do it while you're in there. I usually like to put out at least 150, 250 pounds or more at a time, because I really don't want to go back in there for several weeks if possible. So that's kind of how we do things. That particular area is mostly bedding, so it's also easier to do this. You've seen me in other videos drive the truck almost right to a stand before because there was no bait and the deer are used to vehicles, tractors, things like that. This is not one of those places. Those 2 stand locations have not been sat in well over a year. So for us to have bait in there and have the deer used to that and have very little human intrusion, I tell you what, I'm gonna post pictures, and I guarantee you it's October 23rd right now. It's probably, or I'm sorry, it's the 24th, and it's probably 1:30 right now. I'm on my way back to work. There will be deer in there in the next 3 to 4 hours, guaranteed, even though I was just in there, because I wore my rubber boots. I didn't touch a lot of stuff with my hands while I was in there. I spread the corn out real wide so they can all kind of stack in there and not feel insecure. But most importantly, I'm not in there all the time. I'm not going in there every week, every other week. I've done this. I've made those mistakes, and you're not doing yourself any favors on getting a big mature buck that way. Will you get deer in there? Yes. But the does will know when you're in there and when you're not a lot of times, especially if you're in there quite a bit. So, you know, to each their own. There are exceptions to every circumstance. Most of it has to do with where the deer are bedded, how close they are to the food source, and that sort of thing. If you have deer that are just consistently nocturnal, it's usually because they're not bedded that close. It's not usually because of human intrusion, but sometimes it is. But if you can help it, try to minimize the amount of times you're going in and out of there. I've made that mistake. It's the worst mistake that you can make. You know, if you can stay out, and then when it's time, when you get a cold front, when you get rising barometric pressure and a drop in temperatures, and the deer are going to be on their feet anyway, then you need to be in that stand. You need to get in there early, because a lot of times the does will be in there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you need to get in there real early, slip in that stand, be still. Hopefully, you know, you got to have the right wind to your advantage too, and you can make a bait pile work. So that's just the 2 cents that I wanted to put out there. Should you bait? Absolutely. In some circumstances where it's legal, it is effective. You can't even get big mature deer that way, but only if you don't go in and out a lot and you're only hunting it, you know, maybe 3 times at most, but preferably once. Another thing that's kind of crazy is I'm about to show you 3 different bucks that were all taken when you could say the corn had run out or run dry. All 3 of these were taken with not a single kernel of corn left on the ground. Sometimes there's even an advantage to that because the does will cruise through, they'll check it, and when they find that there's not much left, they'll keep going, so they're not as likely to pin you down and bust you. And after they've come through, guess who comes through? Mr. Big. So if you're baiting right now, maybe you're in the middle of the season, you know, if your corn pile runs low or runs out, just remember you're still better off not being in there, especially if the wind is wrong or you're running late that day. You're better off giving it another day or 2. That's another mistake that I've made. So if you're running out or you're running low, give it an extra day or 2. Beyond that, they're still going to check in on that spot. Think about acorns. When a tree drops acorns, the deer only know that it doesn't have acorns there if they come look, right? So use that logic and that sense when it comes to your bait piles too. They're going to come check and be absolutely sure there's nothing there, and then they're going to move on, which is still going to give you time to get one. So don't be in a hurry to get in there and reload that bait. Just be smart, less intrusive. That is the most effective way to hunt a bait pile. Please like and subscribe. Love to share more tips and things that we found that work. But most importantly, go get them.